Good morning, everybody, and happy Aloha Friday. Welcome to PSG of Mercer County. And PSG of Mercer County, of course, is a group that is here for you, anybody that is in any kind of career transition. And of course, for those of you that know me, every week I do wear my Aloha shirt on Friday. Excuse me. Just something I like to celebrate. And you're also welcome to do so yourself, whether you're here or do it at home. So that's a fun thing to do. And also, today is National Random Acts of Kindness Day. So happy Random Acts of Kindness Day. And I thought that's just really special. It's celebrated by any individual, any group, or organization that encourages an act of kindness. And, it's something that's kind of like one of our missions here, that we help each other. We want to offer a little bit of information. People that get to meet each other here can also help each other as well. So those are all acts of kindness. And so we like to celebrate and I guess participate as well. So enjoy the day and hopefully you can participate yourself. Even to say thank you to someone who's done something nice for you if you get out and get to meet some people. PSG of Mercer County, of course, has a lot of resources to help you be more efficient and more effective with your own job search. We do have our YouTube channel. Our YouTube channel is accessible on our website. On the right side of the website, what you'll see is a link. It says YouTube. It's got the logo. And so just click on that. It will open up the YouTube channel. We now have 126 videos, all of prior programs. Most of our prior programs since March of 2020 when we started going virtual. So if you'd like to go look at a prior topic, or even if you a little later today or tomorrow morning want to revisit some of what Bill offers you today, you can go back and look at that on our YouTube channel. Our website does have over 120 pages of content. It is a lot of information that we make available to anyone, hopefully to make them more efficient and effective in their own job search. And so it's more than just a landing page. So like I said, we do have our YouTube channel and lots of other pages as well. And it's accessible for everyone. You don't need to be a PSG or Mercer County member to use our website. We do have our LinkedIn group. Our LinkedIn group is called PSG of Mercer County. And we have over 1,700 members in our LinkedIn group. They are all people that have been to at least one of our meetings, either virtually or in person. So what that means is if you reach out to anybody in our LinkedIn group, there's a good chance that they will respond to you because they kind of get job search. They understand the importance of job search and staying informed and communicating with people. So maybe you're doing your own research on a company or you've got a question that you just want to ask the group. You can post that in the LinkedIn group. So if you're not yet a member of our LinkedIn group, I do encourage you, find our LinkedIn group, PSG of Mercer County, click the join button, and just wait a little while. You will be put in pending status initially. We do that on purpose. And I will make sure, or anyone who does look at it on our group, we will make sure that you have visited our meeting at least once. We can check our attendance rolls, either if you've signed in or just if you've been online. So that all becomes very important. We want to keep the list collectors, the name collectors, the ne'er-do-wells as much as possible out, but we want to keep people who are willing to help each other to do a random act of kindness, I suppose, all in our group. And that's why we have that little bit of a pause before we accept people automatically. What we'll be doing is I'll be introducing Bill in just a moment. As for questions and answers, you've got a couple of choices. Alan and I are going to be monitoring the chat. We're both going to be here looking at the chat. So if you're comfortable, you can just type the word question in chat and we will just politely interrupt Bill and say there's a question in chat. And you can unmute at that point and speak with Bill. Or if you don't want to unmute yourself, you can type the question. Write the word question and then type the question. The reason why we ask you to type the word question, there's going to be a lot of other potential chat. We just want to be able to see your question among the other introductions that some people may post. Those of you in the room, just raise your hand. Bill's going to be here. He will be able to address your question. And the one thing that we will ask, oops, sounds like someone's microphone is on. Please keep your microphone on mute. Good. Alan, the enforcer, got it, so that's good. And but when you do use the microphone, I'm sorry, when you do have a question, use the microphone that's right here up front. and ask a question. That way the people online can hear the question as well. And if you do use the microphone, hold it right up to your mouth, kind of like pretend you're a rock star. You've played air guitar before, it's the same thing. And so just put it up, that way the sound gets in nice and clear. There's a little button on top. It's green, so that's good. You'll be able to talk. If the little button was red, then it would be off. So it's on now, so we're all good. So those are the little bit of ground rules. We don't have a lot of rules here, but that's the few that we have. So with that, PSG of Mercer County is pleased to welcome Bill Pigula. Bill is a member of the PSG of Mercer County Executive Committee. He manages the content of the PSG website job boards pages and is an instructor in our group as well. Bill also volunteers at the Trenton Area Soup Kitchen, where he's a member of the Development Committee. In his career, Bill achieved success as a pre-sales consultant at the Teradata Corporation, with expertise in justifying and implementing solutions for clients with data warehousing and business intelligence needs. Before joining Teradata, Bill was the marketing project manager on the IBM Global Risk Management Development Initiative. At IBM, he also managed a diverse group of client-facing systems engineers in New York City and taught classes at the IBM Finance Industry Center. Bill is the founder of Fisher Visualizations, LLC, a management consulting firm that extracts valuable business insights from data and turns these insights into charts and infographics that improve business results. PSG of Mercer County is always pleased to welcome our very own Bill Pigula. Yay. Thank you, Bill.
Well, good morning, everybody. I think our attendance here in person is a little bit low today, but it's a terrible weather day out there here in Princeton. So I'm hoping that everybody who would have come in is at least watching from your home. We got a full presentation here. Some of you may have seen it before. It's been tweaked a little bit, so there are some new things in here. And it's all about developing your marketing plan and an approach to your job search based on marketing in other fields. What I'm going to talk about today is the big picture about job search as I see it, define a marketing plan and give you a reason to have one, and show you how to create one. And then once that's all said and done and you have it, what do you do with it? So, that's where we're going. Welcome questions. So please, follow David's advice as to how to ask a question. We have two audiences, the one here in the room and the one that's virtual, and we want to make sure that everybody's on board and getting their questions answered. Okay, where are you now? This is especially for someone who just lost a job and perhaps lost a job for the first time. A lot of us, including me, have invested a lot in our careers and maybe invested in one company. I was with IBM for probably 22 years, and it becomes a real body blow when that support structure gets taken away from you, and it's not gradual. I mean, we're going to have a reorganization. Don't come in Monday. Maybe we've been there already. Maybe you guys have been there, but it compares to the other significant life events, like the death in the family is always death of a spouse is a big one, the biggest one probably, and then there's a whole hierarchy of potential bad things that happen to you. But in the grief cycle that was put together, you start out with denial, and then I go through these stages of denial and then anger, and you can see the bullets are written out here. Underneath talks about what the individual might be going through, and I'm not going to talk too much about the beginning. I think it's important to get through it. Like if you have that situation at work, your first gut action is probably to try to learn more. What's happening? The then try to get some emotional support, both from inside and outside of work, and you're trying to find meaning. I remember when I had gone through my first reorg where I was the victim, I was trying to say, well, how can I get a different job is in this organization called IBM? And I just, well, a lot of hemming and hawing went on when I asked the question. But after a while, though, you go into kind of that green arrow there is really the two key things to think about. And they were key for me because I did go into kind of almost a depression state of being overwhelmed and helplessness. What am I going to do? I got to do something. And maybe there's a knot in the head or two out there that this is what happens. The last time around, I went through it a couple of times. One was about losing the job, and then I started down one path in a job search, and that path wasn't getting me anywhere. And so after a month or two of pounding my head against the wall, I decided that, I don't like this. This is really no fun. And I really started thinking about what else I can do or how can I restructure it. And I came up with a plan that involved some new options. For me, it was starting that company that David talked about, Fisher Visualizations, but exploring those new options and going for that. And that gave me some new energy, landing me in the acceptance part on the far right. So that's be prepared for this whole thing emotionally and mentally. Know that you're not alone if you find yourself in one of these situations, and you'll come out of it. Sometimes you have to work through it yourself, and you can't just wave a magic wand and make it go away. So anyway, that's where some of you might be. What I think these are things that you can do that are proactive, even if you're not ready to start really pounding the pavement looking for work. Assess your financial position is a big one. If you're with a corporation, there might be job loss benefits that you need to sign up for. There's no shame in applying for unemployment. If you're in New Jersey and you're middle-aged, you've been paying into unemployment insurance for 20 years. Now's the time to take advantage of it. And you might have to make some spending adjustments. That's something I'll leave to you, is where you can adjust. But spending less is a good thing if you have less income. That's enough said. But the getting the mindset and starting to think positively about what you want and what your strengths are, that now's the time to, in this early stages, start thinking about this. You don't have to sit down and have a planning session with yourself, but get a piece of paper out and over a cup of coffee, think about what your strengths are. Did you have some accomplishments in your old job that you can point to, that you make a list of those? We've all done something positive that helped the company. And then what are your friends and your coworkers and family say about you? That can be very encouraging, actually, to go to somebody who you casually know, that maybe your kid played on the same soccer team as their kid did. You know me a little bit, Ken. Why don't you, what do you think? I'm looking for work. What do you think about me? And Ken is a real guy. Ken came back with a very affirming 20-minute phone call that told me, oh, Bill, you're kind of friendly, and you do what you say you're going to do, and just some real positive messages. People want to help. That's, I think, the main message of a lot of this is people want to help. sometimes you have to ask, and it's don't be afraid of that. Friends and family. David tells a story about, and I'll save it for him to tell, but apparently his mom was trying to help him with a job and said he should become an air traffic controller. So her heart was in the right place, and she knew David had some good analytical skills, but that role didn't suit him from his own mind, and how he managed out of that one, I'll leave up to him to tell you. But so your friends and family, they're a little bit biased, but they may not. My family never knew what I did for work because I sat in my office and I was on the phone all the time. But so my kids, when they were little, what does your daddy do? I wasn't a fireman or a policeman. I was a pre-sale engineer. Okay. Get that across to a second grader. But that's, your family doesn't always know what you do, and they don't know what you want to do unless you tell them. So take them with a grain of salt, but take them. Okay, this is early on. It's a tool that you can use, and the reason I have it here is because maybe you sat down with your coffee and you came up with your accomplishments list. Well, here's where you can use it. You can come up with these stories, and each one of those lines, or the lines on the bottom there, the bottom half of the screen, maybe you start with the accomplishments. Go to accomplishment number 1 that's on your list and fill in what was the situation in that made you do something. And, maybe you got an assignment at work. Maybe there was a problem at work that needed to be resolved. What actions did you take in the middle there to resolve that? And then what was the accomplishment? Was it measured? Can it be quantified? This is an important set of things to build out. I'll tell you why. You can use this in many places. You can put it in your LinkedIn profile to say that you've actually had a situation, this is what I recommended, and this is what happened. In an interview, people will say, I've heard other job coaches say, you should have 20 of these and know them enough to talk about them so that when you're in the interview and something comes up where the recruiter or the hiring manager shares with you that they've got this particular situation, it's not coming out of left field for you. It's like you're prepared. I did something like that 3 or 4 years ago in my old job, and that can only help you. You don't have to come off and say, "Yep, I can do it. Go away. I'll just finish. I'll just do it for you." But you can have it becomes a conversation instead of the person asking you questions. Having this library of 15 to 20 of these is something that you can use throughout your job search. It's a really good prep, and you can start it right away. So this is really what I've seen. I adopted it from a book. It's called What Color is Your Parachute? Maybe you've seen that book. That book, by the way, is treat it like an encyclopedia, not like a novel. So there are plenty of sections in there, but you don't start on page 1 and try to read through the whole thing. If you need to know about interview prep, there's a section in there for that. If you need to know about writing a resume, there's a section in there for that. It's a good encyclopedia, don't get me wrong, but it's not a novel. If you try to read it like a novel, cover to cover, you're going to fall asleep. But anyway, there's a list in there about this, and I've tweaked it a little bit. But job hunting is mysterious. No matter who you listen to, how you put your plan together, how you reach out to people. You're dealing with people on the other end, and it's a mystery how they react. You don't know what they're doing. It's only the only thing in your control is you. It's an art, not a science. That means there's no great formula to getting a job, searching for a job, and there's no wrong way. So there are areas, we'll talk about this, but there are areas that are higher percentage than others. It's hard work, requires hard thinking. Just sitting down and thinking about your accomplishments is not trivial, and it's not something that that comes first nature to most people. So that's just an example of the kind of hard work you have to do. Number 6, I think, excuse me, I stole this from Alex Freund, and I revised it, but your comfort zone is your enemy. The way Alex would say it is, your own 4 walls are your enemy at home. You have to get out, you have to talk to people. You have to get away from the laptop and actually interact and understand, try to find people that can help you as well as you can help them. But there are other comfort zone things to think about. One of them might be your industry. If you were always in pharma, if you say I can only work in pharma, that is restricting of what you could possibly do. If you're always in banking, well, are some of those skills transferable to a different industry? That if you look at the job description, you can say, I could do that, but it's not in pharma, so you don't do it. That's what I mean by that. Your location may be a restriction that you want to allow. Your kids are in high school. You're not going to pick them up and move them to St. Louis or wherever. So, okay, you accept it, but it's still your comfort zone. Your job role is another comfort zone thing. I was a staff accountant on a staff of 100 people. Okay, well, that's good, but if you only are looking for large corporations with big staffs of accountants, is that a limiting factor? Anyway, that's the point. The point of the comfort zone being your enemy. Job hunting success depends on a certain amount of luck. That's true. And technique and practice can improve your luck. And this is my golf game is a perfect example of this, in that I like to play. It's nice to get out on a nice warm sunny day, but it's frustrating when you don't know where the ball's going. So I decided to take some lessons. And think about it, some of it is physics, but you've got a 3-foot long stick with maybe a 4 square inch face, if that, trying to hit a little ball and hit it 150 to 200 yards. Well, okay, great. Well, you can go up and flail at it like I did in high school, or you can take some lessons like I did, and it taught me techniques that I could make it repeatable, and I could be somewhat successful at hitting the golf ball. But it was practice and learning the technique and then practicing it that made a difference. That applies to job search as well. For example, interviewing. If you just go and talk to somebody as an important interview, it's great, but you might be better if you practiced interviewing first with someone else and get a couple of hard questions, learn to think on your feet a little bit. Another way to practice is with technology, you can record yourself. You can record how you introduce yourself and then go back and look at it and improve. So anyways, you can improve your luck by technique and practice. Okay, back in the olden days, the vintage job hunt. This is how I learned to look for a job, probably in high school, looking for a summer job, or in college, looking for a summer job. Knock on doors, look at companies. We didn't have the sharing economy, so that doesn't really apply. But you answered ads. The New York Times had a probably 40-page section every Sunday, this thick, that you would go through and look at ads. Mail your resume to unsolicited. Mail it unsolicited to employers. Hi, here I am. This is what I do. And randomly, more recently, you randomly responded to jobs on the internet. And that's what I truly mean. Indeed sends you something and you turn around and respond to it. The two areas that right in the middle there are two lines that have 3 stars. Those have kind of, with COVID, those have kind of changed and have become more, they've become better. The state employment office has got a lot of good job leads because of COVID started it, and they reached out to employers to say, help us help people find jobs. So that's a resource. The job search support group like this, there's a movie. Job search support group is another thing that, talking gets you out of your comfort zone. So I'd say those two are still valid. Okay, what's a marketing plan? It's a tool to use in your job search. Point 1, it helps you focus. Point 2, it can help other people help you. And it can help you shift your search from the job that you can fit yourself into. That's, for example, being a staff accountant with all the other staff accountants, into a job that you really want. So that's what we try to do. It's a tool. In my experience, part of what I did was as a marketing product manager. And I was selling a product, or I was developing a product to sell, and I had to look at these things in developing my marketing plan for that product. First thing is, what's the product? What's the brand? The second is, what's the target market? Who are we selling this brand to? And the third is, what communications channels are we going to use to get our message out about our product? Now, there are some direct analogs for the job seeker. You have a personal brand. Who are you and what are you all about? You have target companies, not just target market, but target companies, because guess what? You're selling yourself, okay? You're the product. So you define the product as a brand, as your personal brand, and then you look at target companies that might need or want that brand. And you have channels. How are you going to put the word out there that you're available and that you can help one of these companies or more than one of these companies? So that's what we're going to talk about today, is those 3 major topics. Okay. The marketing plan, if you put it all together, it helps you focus on what you offer, not about what a generic staff accountant offers, for instance, but your brand. It gives you a base for consistent message so that when someone looks at your resume and then they look you up on LinkedIn, it's all in sync. If they're not in sync, it might raise a yellow flag in somebody's mind. So you want to be consistent. And it defines your target market and it helps you focus. We had a speaker here, Marty Gilbert, probably 6 months ago, who said that is like the biggest reason job searches take so long is people don't identify their target companies. So, and just they wait for things to happen. So that's what this tool can do. It's all about your availability and about your value and putting those two things together. And some of you skeptics in the room might say, oh, I have a resume, and then let's contrast that to the marketing plan. Okay, resume is focused in the past. Could be a very good past, but it's what you've done, what you've accomplished, what you know, like your skills, and where you worked. You know, I started at company A, and after 5 years, I went to company B. The marketing plan is future focused. What do you want to accomplish? What are your strengths? What are you looking for? And where do you want to work? As well as how will you be found? So this kind of puts it in perspective. Resume is still important. Okay, most of and any employer is going to ask for a resume. Be surprised if they don't. So you still have to have one, but it supplements the marketing plan and is hopefully consistent with the marketing plan. Okay, where are you heading? This is the hard part, the thinking involved with putting this all together. These are the kind of questions that that you have to to knock down so that you're ready to talk about yourself and narrow down on what you'd like to do. Define success, first of all. There's no wrong answer. Answer number one might be, I want to be able at the end of my career to have $10 million in the bank. Okay, very good. That's a great goal. Other one might be, hey, I want to be able to go to, my kid has an after school athletic event, I want to be able to go to it. Okay, that's another definition of success. There's probably 99 more. What do you love to do as work? What puts you in the zone? You watch a professional basketball player and you'll hear the announcer say, wow, he's made 7 baskets in a row. He's in the zone. Okay, what puts you in the zone? And the way I define that is the thing that you're working on, what makes time fly? Okay, so that you pick it up and then you look at your watch next and it's 6:30 p.m. You say, whoa, what happened to the afternoon? But you were enjoying what you were doing for those 5 hours. And so that's something, if you can go for that, that's a really good thing to go for. What do you do best, and what expertise do others recognize in you? Those are those conversations we talked about. What industry or field excites you? It might be something in a nonprofit, it might be in healthcare, it might be in, say, drug development around here, or whatever it is. What are your financial requirements? That is something that is, nobody likes to think about that, but back in the beginning of this talk, we talked about, understanding what you need. And there are certain jobs that aren't going to fit because they don't pay enough. And we all have mortgages to pay. So what kind of corporate culture would you flourish in? Quick story, in a job search, I was offered a job. It was not a management role, it was a very technical role. I took it. And when I got there, I was working fine and everything was going well skill-wise. The issue became, I'm a morning person. Okay, so right now, this is my peak. Hope it's okay. But this company, I would get there at 9 o'clock. I asked the owner, what time did people start? We opened the door. Paulie opens the door at 9 o'clock. Okay. So I got there at 9:01 and I'm at my desk. Computers are warmed up and I'm working. And the owner came in at about 9:15. It was working. People started to roll in 10, 10:30. All right. So now fast forward, it's the end of the day. It's getting to be like 5:15, 5:30. I'm running out of gas. That's just the way I am. I'm fading. I've been working hard all day. And so I start to pack up my things and go. And this goes on for 2 or 3 weeks that I'm leaving and everybody else is staying. So, and then finally I got to know some of the people. Well, how late did you stay? 6:30. How late did you stay? 7:30. And that was like the indication that this may not be a good cultural fit for me, just because it didn't go with my body, with my body clock. Part of my goal was to get home early enough that I could do something else, even if it was go for a walk. And so in the end, I didn't stay long, and we parted ways. And that was a big reason. I guess the yellow flag should have been the owner couldn't tell me what the business hours were. So early on. So anyway, that's my story. Another thing that happened to me that shows up on this chart is there a generally accepted name for this job or role? The names that companies use for particular jobs don't always line up with the way that the world views that job. So that happened to me. I was at Teradata. I think David introduced me as a pre-sale consultant. At Teradata, my business card read solution architect. So, okay, fine. That's when I went out into the marketplace, my resume said solution architect. Okay, that's fine too. Well, I started getting calls and some interviews with people, and what these people were looking for is people to sit down and take computer A and computer B and computer C, put it all together so they talk to each other and make it happen, sit down with the computers and change whatever has to make it work technically and go on to the next one. Well, that wasn't what I did as a solution architect at Teradata. What I did was I met with technical executives, understood their needs, and described how our products and services would meet those needs. And then when it came, they would tell me what their particular needs were, and I would write a proposal and put it all together, tie it up in a nice bow, give it to salesmen and sales management, and they would go close the deal. Very different than making the two computer systems talk to each other. So fortunately, there was a guy named Craig Jez, worked for the state of New Jersey in the employment department, who said, you're not getting interviews. You're not getting matched up interviews. Let's take a look at this site. That's in green there at the bottom, occupationalinfo.org. It's called ONET, or ONET is the word it goes by. That's also on the PSG website under resources. That has a list of hundreds of occupations put together by the Department of Labor and what those occupations are. And you can go in there and find, you can't go by title. Sometimes you have to read the text, but it describes what they do. And if you look for someone who worked in a technical advisory capacity, writing presentations in support of a sales effort, you will find pre-sale consultant. And so Craig recommended I change my resume, change the jobs I was applying for to be pre-sale consultant. And I had much better success by calling it the right thing. So just be aware that your old job title might not be what the marketplace thinks it is. So Okay, other factors. Length of the commute, it's always big, less so now in the world of virtual work. A willingness to, two sides of the coin here. Are you willing to be remote, or do you want to go back to the office? Minimum compensation, willingness to relocate, and family considerations. Now, when I say that, I mean, a lot of things fall under family considerations, but you need to at least be aware of them. Rather than ignoring them in your job search, you need to be aware of them. If you have an elderly parent that you're caring for, that is a family consideration. And you need, if you're changing jobs or your job is changing on you, you need to consider that and looking, do you still need to take care of that parent, or can someone else do it? Maybe because the job's in New York, it's really going to be a long commute and you won't be able to take care of that parent. So those are things to keep in mind for yourself. With the marketing plan, you want to deal with reality. Okay, not the way you want it, but these are the things that are going to affect you. Okay, we'll step back a minute. What is a marketing plan? It's forward-looking. It's drawn from your personal knowledge and your company research. We talked about those two boxes. The goal is to find employers with business needs that are in your sweet spot, that you've figured out already are things that you want to do, and gives you the confidence that you can go to them and tell them you're the best person for the job. Okay, we've talked about the marketing plan in general. We'll go into personal brand. It's what are you known for? And there are two parts of that. You could also title the qualifications piece. You could also say hard skills. In general, it's problems you help solve. What's your knowledge? What are your skills? What's your experience? Stuff that you can really point at. The personal, there are probably, first of all, the reality to deal with is there are a lot of people looking for work at higher skill levels. It's when you read the unemployment statistics, a lot of that might be for warehouse work or hourly work, where this is more if you're a professional, there's a lot of competition out there for a few slots. So having the left column, there are a lot of people that can look alike to a hiring manager. So what you need is differentiators. What's going to set you apart? For one thing, it's first impression. Okay, when you second is like your enthusiasm and your motivation. Does it come out that you're excited about this company or this? And you can explain that, you can be positive about it. As Marty Latman, another job coach, always says, always be positive. He even invented an acronym, ABP. Have knowledge of the target company. If you're going in there, learn about them. If you can take a look at their website and find out what's in the news about that company. Did they have a recent announcement or something? It gives you something to talk about in the interview, but it also shows that you did your homework. How can you help is another, you can come up with some theories about how you can help before you go in for the first time. If you're interviewing with someone, you could even try to engage with them. What kind of people, or what are the situations that this job, in order to fill this job, or why does this situation exist? What will the person that you hire do to make it better? Those, just to get conversations going. Another differentiator is your thoughtfulness and your calmness. if that can really impress people, if you don't go in there and your hair's not on fire. You know, it's something that it is really an asset. And it's very important to be able to demonstrate your ability to learn and adapt. In this world, even if you're not a technologist, the world is changing. And I mean, 3 years ago, everybody jumped on Zoom, and then all of a sudden Microsoft Teams came out. Well, could you adapt to take your knowledge of Zoom and go to Microsoft Teams? And I mean, people do it all the time, but is that if you're not prepared to show how you can learn and adapt, it might throw you. Oh, we use Microsoft Teams, and oh, I heard about that, but anyways, I said that you're selling yourself. So this is some thought-provoking questions. Again, hard work. Take a look at them. What value do you add to a future client or employer? What makes you stand out as a differentiator from the brand X candidate? Okay, you're trying to become the one who stands out. And what are your unique qualities? Anyway, this is something. That's one of those. Maybe this one is over a gin and tonic, but this is one of those things you sit down at your home and just try to figure it out. Put down some ideas, open it up the next day, see if it still makes sense the next day. It's not for external consumption, but kind of polish it up for yourself. Okay, here's another tool. Some of you who have been in technology space might know about a SWOT analysis. SWOT stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. To go through this, the top half are internal factors. Those are things that are in your control. The bottom half are external factors that are not in your control. I like to start when I look at this in the external factors, opportunities, which is the lower left quadrant. Okay, where you are, it's a great opportunity if you're in a growing field. Okay, or it has complex skill requirements, something that sets you apart. Or there might be inefficiencies that are in this particular area that you've known the area, you might have worked in your area or you research about it. Companies might have some inefficiencies or a skill shortage. There are just you read about the fact that I don't know, maybe it's if you're a techie, Python programmers might be in demand. So those are all good things. Those are all opportunities. Now, if you go up from there, you go to your positive attributes that are in your control. Some of them are those skills we talked about. Some of those are relevant experience, maybe in the industry. A lot of it is those soft skills, the desire and preparation, self-sufficiency. So those are all things that you have going for you. But now we go to the right and weaknesses. It's maybe you don't have the current skills, or maybe there's a certification needed for a particular skill, or some kind of other external proof that you have the skill would be very helpful. Then as you go down a little bit more, you get into kind of the lack of confidence, or I was just laid off, and people don't want to. You don't want to buy a car from a depressed salesman. That kind of minimizes it a little bit, but those are things in your control. And if investing the time to build your confidence, especially for a particular interview, is a really good use of time. There are some things that are way out of your control. and those are in the threats box. You could interview, you could hit it off great with whoever you talk to, and oh, you finished second. Okay, that's happened to a lot of people, happened to me. It might be that it's out of your control. It might be that the company has a rule that says we cannot promote from within until we bring it to the outside world and look for outside candidates. So you might just be one of those outside candidates, and somebody was already teed up, and they're just going through the motions with you. Sorry, that's life. There might be other candidates who they judge to be better. They might have a low-cost orientation, and they might say, well, it's, I saw a good cartoon the other day. It was like 20, they were looking to pay 27,000, and the candidate wanted 54. Okay, and he's talking to the hiring manager, and he says, well, just think of this. You can get, for $54,000, you can get two of them. And so, yeah, I totally did. But two for the price of one. But anyways, there's no train, you might, low cost orientation is one. Too busy management. I mean, you're not, the place you came from, everybody was probably too busy. They had a lot of work. Probably the same thing true at that place where you're applying. And it's not the highest priority to get somebody in to begin onboarding them. And it always goes to the back of the pile. You got to ask questions, do I really want to work for somebody like that? But anyway, those are, you got to allow for those. And the threats, they're out of your control. You versus brand X. Comparison criteria on the surface are your background, your skills, your track record, and God forbid, maybe your age. Those are what often come up. But against and like in the middle there, younger is cheaper, older is inflexible, and so on. Some of those things you can work out, but it boils down to how can you solve the company's business problem. They have a business problem, they want to hire somebody new to fix it. Now, so part of your interview could be to not only tell them all about you, but find out about them. Why are you interviewing? What is the business problem? And then you can reach back in your back pocket of those 20 accomplishments and maybe have a story for them to say, well, I've seen this before at another place, and here's what I did. And if you're out there against brand X, you have some of these things could really help you differentiate yourself. You can bring your abilities to address the business need, and you'll set yourself up just apart just for asking about the business needs. Do you think that someone just out of college is going to know enough to do that? Doesn't really matter what they do, but you will set yourself apart by trying to understand where they're coming from. They're people too. Do you anticipate and solve problems before they become crises? You've been in the workforce for a while, you've come across things, and you've dealt with them. And you can save some headaches for the employer just by having you on the team because you've seen things before, you're seasoned, you're reliable. What do you talk about? People have talked about the quiet quit, right? Of people not wanting to come back to go in, or they're not really satisfied, or whatever for whatever reason. But you're reliable. You commit to do things, and you do them, and without a lot of fuss. You make your time schedules, and it'd be great to be able to demonstrate these. It'd be really great if you had someone from your previous job, maybe not your direct manager, but a manager in a different department, say, oh yeah, I worked with Paulie for 5 years and he really helped, and he was always prompt, or he always completed on time. Whatever that person says in LinkedIn, people read that. So take advantage of it. And adapting to the changing environment, we talked about that. Showing your adaptability sets you apart from brand X. That, you know, we talked about Microsoft Teams. That's one example of how you can shift yourself so that, and you can demonstrate in the past you have shifted yourself to deal with the environment no matter how it changes. And the statement of your brand, you put it all together. This is more about what the desired response from an employer. If you're in an interview and that person is listening to you and says, this person can really help me. You know, if they think that, well, that's great. It encourages their curiosity. If they start drilling down on you to tell me about that experience where you solved this problem, that, again, you're trying to move from an interview to a conversation. And that expression of curiosity is a good sign of movement towards a conversation. And it also communicates likability. Okay, that'll never show up on a resume, but if you can get into conversation mode with the hiring manager, that person can better assess whether you're going to fit in with Joni down the hall, who you're going to work carefully with. So they get those things out of having a brand and then getting into the interview, into the conversation mode instead of the interview mode. So that's that. Any questions, guys? Okay. At the end. Okay, the question was, I'd like to see what a marketing plan looks like, and that's at the end. We talk about that.
And as a reminder, if you have a question, please ask it in the microphone.
Yeah, that's one of our technical limitations, is the people on virtual cannot hear, they can only hear me and whoever speaks in the mic. Directly, you're a rock star.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Excellent presentation, and you really brought the technical resources to an effective marketing plan, but the technical story demonstrates how important a marketing plan is. And I can attest to a very articulate marketing plan, because you're telling the employer exactly the value that you bring, and really you always need to go a step further. You know, a resume is important, but you have to look at the job description and customize your resume that speaks directly to what the job description is. And within that, when you build your value, or you articulate your value, you're demonstrating by concrete improvements that go to exactly to the point of what you bring to the company that significantly shows that you're going to be the valuable person. I really appreciate you bringing your expertise and experience.
You're welcome. Great points, too. Okay, we'll move on to talking a little bit about target companies. The question on the floor is, what organizations interest you? And there's a couple of places to look and kind of get the broad picture of what's out there, what companies might be out there. At our own website, PSG of Mercer County, there's a tab at the top. It's called Open Jobs. If you look in that, you will find, as David said, you'll find Mercer County and the 6 border counties, and drill down on the county you're interested in, and you will see the industries that might be covered there. Open the industry and you will see a list of companies with links to the job boards page of each company. Now, it's not as complex as I just made it sound, but it's just click, 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 and you get to say, I don't know, government for, and you'll see Monmouth County, Asbury Park, and you'll see different cities or whatever, and you can get to the job boards page of the particular city or the particular municipality. It works that way for every industry. It's not, we don't have every possible company, but we have 2,600 of them, I think. So, so there's a lot out there. We invest time to make sure the links work, and if they don't work, a few Google searches can help you find it. So that's the PSG website. You can do a LinkedIn search on the industry and see what comes up. LinkedIn, we'll talk about that in a minute, but a lot of people are on LinkedIn and they all work in different companies, so you can really learn a lot there. There's a company called Reference Solutions. Company is called Data Axle. It's not, it doesn't roll off the tongue, but they have an offering called Reference Solutions. Very expensive. However, it's available at most public libraries, including the Princeton Public Library. And with that, it used to be called Reference Solutions. But what it lets you do is learn more about all the companies in the United States. But you can do searches to say, show me companies in Mercer County with more than 200 employees, and so on. And it'll give you a listing of each with a little bit of a description. It also has the executives. There's a lot in there. It's not something you can do from your desktop, probably. Although, no, you could, because if you're in the portal of your local library, you may be able to access it. So that's a good source. Indeed.com has you could really, if you've been out for a while and you want to start thinking about getting something fast, they have an immediately hiring qualification. So those are companies that have raised their hand and said, boy, I'd really like to get somebody now. And there are seasonal opportunities. Now we've just left the holiday season, but spring is coming. And if you are so inclined, getting opportunities perhaps in construction or in one of the home retailers is also possible. Other resources are friends, people who work at the candidate firms. You may know somebody who works at, say, Bristol Myers Squibb, and you can just engage with them. It's also, those are like good soccer game conversations where you're standing next to a bunch of other parents, and maybe you don't even push for it, but where are you working? Da, 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 da. Oh, yeah, I've been out for a while. I'm looking. Oh, what do you do? And you don't know where that's going to lead. So don't sell that short as a resource. In LinkedIn, if you can find companies. Most companies have a LinkedIn presence, and you can follow them. following them is, if it's a real company you're interested in, following it is a good thing. I'll tell you why. It's a good thing because those companies have recruiters. And those recruiters, if person A is found with a certain set of skills and person B has got those same skills, remember brand X, and person A follows the company, that's an indication that you're interested in the company, and it may turn into a phone call. So, I mean, it's a game of inches here, and you're just looking to get to the next step. You have a resume you'd like to get. It's not, I want a job. It's, I want an interview, okay? Get to the next step. The internet and Glassdoor, they're really good. I think those are good to find out about background about companies. Glassdoor, I kind of take with a grain of salt, because if somebody just got laid off and they put a nasty review on there, you only hear half the story. But again, newspapers, magazines, and volunteering. Volunteering is another person-to-person contact that can generate lead. People want to help, and somebody who's volunteering by nature wants to help. So if you can do that, it's great. We'll talk now about informational interviews, but first I want to just mention about job search. I found it to be a real time management challenge, where there are, so it's kind of like surfing the internet. You can really find things to occupy your time. Is it occupying it productively? That's a different question. But you could go to job seeker support groups. I found early on in a job search that, yes, I could go to job seeker support groups. I was going to job seeker support groups 3 days a week when I added it all up. Okay, you know, I'm not getting anywhere. I'm hearing people talk and they're interesting and it's fun, but okay, I got to draw the line somewhere, and it may be more selective. That's just a time management illustration. I found that responding to a job on Indeed or on a corporate job board takes 2 hours. Okay, by the time you dot all the I's and cross all the T's and customize your resume and everything else, it took me 2 hours. So that's 2 hours out of my week that I could have been doing meeting people. But it's the easier thing. We're back to the 4 walls syndrome. So anyway, it's, your time is precious. You have to not only allow time for job search, but for self-care, going out for a walk, eating properly, sleeping, taking breaks, enjoying your family. So anyway, enough said about that. The only other one, not quite enough said about that, is you're looking at companies. I always kind of took it as I'm looking for showstoppers. Okay, I had project management in my background too, and you're looking for things that are going to keep the project from moving forward. I apply that to companies by, okay, here's this company, and it's 2 hours away, but it looks interesting. 2 hours by car. Is that a showstopper? I don't know. You got to ask yourself. But it was for me. I just, okay, I'm not going to spend any time looking at a job that I'm not going to take. Okay, time management. Yeah, so that's, you're just looking for showstoppers. If it's not a fit, there's other companies out there. Okay, now I'm going to talk a little bit about informational interviews. This is not something where the recruiter calls you and said, oh, the recruiting manager would like to meet with you along with 4 of their closest friends. Can you either come in or be in on a Zoom call? And this is not that. This is something that you initiate. If you find someone, say you found a company that looks really interesting, and you did some LinkedIn research and you found that, oh, one of my neighbors works there, or one of my neighbors has a contact who works there, either on LinkedIn or however you find it. If they're in somewhere where you might learn something about that company, most people will find the time to spend 30 minutes with you to talk about the company and about you. And I mean, a lot of people have incentive plans out there to bring in new people. So maybe you don't really take advantage of that, but that's in the back of your mind. But it's to help you screen the job before you take it, screen the workplace, and find answers to specific questions. So let's say you have an interview with someone who happens to be, maybe you knew them from your previous job, and they work for a competitor, or they work for a company that supplied you, or a company that supplies them. And you say, and you know them well enough to call them or send them an email. Hey, I'm out of work. You might have heard about the layoff. Can we just spend 30 minutes talking about your company, and leave it at that? If they bite, then you got a meeting to go to. You get out of your office, you can get dressed up, and you can go to the meeting. Well, the key thing there, if you find yourself in that situation, you sit down with yourself and come up with, first of all, define the time. So they know it's going to be 20 minutes, or they know it's going to be 30 minutes. Then come up with your specific questions, okay? And only 8 to 10 of them that you want to talk about. A very structured meeting. It's important. And once you're in the meeting and you go through those questions and you've done it, it's a 30-minute meeting and you've done it in 20 minutes, you can say, I've got all my questions answered. As far as I'm concerned, we've done what we said we would do, and I'm ready. If you'd like this extra 10 minutes back, please, we can end the meeting right here. 9 times out of 10, I've had people tell me in a 30-minute informational interview, oh, I booked out an hour. So let's keep talking. And hopefully it's in conversation mode, so you've already got something to talk about, and however it goes. The other side of that coin is you're on question number 8, and 30 minutes have gone by. Well, you got to keep your eye on, hopefully they have a clock in the office, but when you're from one way or the other, you know that 30 minutes has gone by, or it's 29 minutes have gone by. At that point, it's fair game and encouraged to say, we've set this up as a 30-minute meeting, and I really want to respect your time. I know, and I have a few more questions, but I'm okay if we have to stop now. And most people will say, oh, I booked an hour. Some people will say, yeah, I got another meeting right back up against yours. Thanks for understanding. But nobody had, and then you could, depending on how it's going, you could say, well, can we finish up by phone at a certain time, or whatever, and it might be a Zoom call. I don't know, however you do it, but you want to respect their time, and it shows a lot. It's one of those soft skills, and if you can keep it to the 30 minutes, it's great. The only rule about all of this is never ask for a job. This is one of my personal stories, because when I first tried this, a friend introduced me to somebody else who I didn't know, and I think it was a phone call actually, and we were talking 30 minutes. It's like the more he was telling me, the more excited I got, because everything he said was like, oh, I'm thinking to myself, I could do that. Oh, I could do that. And that kept going on. And after 25 minutes, I said, you know what, I could, if you have a need, I could really fill it. And would you consider that? Call's over. Immediately, the other person said, oh, Bill, thanks a lot. I'm glad that we could spend this time. I know you a little bit better now. Talk to you. And, that happens, okay? The premise is you're not going to ask for a job. When you open it up and you set up the interview, I'm not looking for a job. I want to learn, okay? So don't overextend yourself and try to turn it into a job. If they go down that path, fine. But by asking for a job, you violate the premise of the meeting, show yourself as unreliable, or your integrity is in question because you didn't do what you said you were going to do. So don't do that. Okay, channels. How are we doing on any questions? Any questions here?
Okay, this is Manish. You said there's a couple of interviews doing the ask kind of job, right? But that's exactly what you want. That's right. So how do you communicate in a way that you are also interested if I'm looking for a job, but you don't come out of the meeting that that's the reason for my family. When you say that you are being laid off or you are looking for an opportunity, not that particular necessity to that. You do want to do some kind of a message that if there is something suitable, I am interested.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're just learning, what's the goal of that? How do you keep that full in getting your point across, yet not come across with a new job?
That's a good one. I think it would come out as if you said, well, you might have heard about the layoff, or I'm about to enter the marketplace, or such and such, and you might even share some of your target companies if you have those, and you'll see that in a minute. But in some way, I think it conveys the message that you're not there just for fun, and you're not writing a book about the company or anything. You're there. You've introduced yourself as, I want to learn more about the company, and it kind of people will put two and two together, I think. Anybody else have anything they want to add?
There's one comment on the when Gary says, always ask how you can help them. This is one way. It's gold of information.
Okay, there you go.
So it's very helpful. I think this document is useful because we're asking for information and information. And then time summarize everybody looking for information for your career.
Mm-hmm.
But if you are just at the end, if you say, well, that's great, it sounds great, and I think I could work with, I think I can help you. I just don't think that's not the reason why you put the interview on the calendar.
Mm-hmm.
You put it on to gain information.
Exactly.
And I think when you turn it into that, and that would really make it really good on her.
I think you're right.
You seriously don't think that. So I think they know why you're asking for information. And if they have something up for that might, and the person might say, oh, you know what, it's not my department, but in another department, there is an opening. If you think you're interested, I'll be happy to introduce you. And that's something that can happen. But I wouldn't ask for the job if it's not a job interview. If it's an interview, keep it to that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, exactly. And you have to kind of go with your gut feel. But if you come out of the informational interview with a lead to another person in the company that so-and-so might, you know, that you may come up with, is there someone else I can talk to? Or if, you know, you've answered a lot of questions about cost accounting, is there someone I could talk to about tax accounting at the company and how you handle it? Or, you know, so there's, you know, there's ways to coming out with a new contact besides the person you're talking to, or an introduction is good. And that might be a way to not ask for a job, but to, you know, besides answering your information. So, okay. Yep. Okay, on to channels. Okay. The statistic was, and I think it for professionals, it's probably very close to being true, that every hiring manager gets about 200 resumes. But you want people to learn about you, not just the fact that you're out there, not just the fact that you applied to a job. There are people, your network contacts need to know more about you if they're going to help you. The hiring managers, human resources, and recruiters, and your network is also could benefit from learning about you. It all becomes about being found. If you have your resume together, if you have your marketing plan, people still want to go out, and you want people to go out and be looking for you. Or if they have an opportunity, you want your name to pop up somehow, or at least be considered. So how do you do that? That's what channels are for. It's communications. And it's outbound communication. Marketing would say it's outbound communications from you, the product, to the marketplace. LinkedIn is the site of first resort. Okay, that is now so much in use. Recruiters even have their own flavor of LinkedIn, and they pay a 5-figure amount per year to have the extra. It got some attention. They have the extra features provided by LinkedIn Recruiter. I think that's what it's called, is LinkedIn Recruiter. That allows them to do searches. It allows them to find out, show me people who are following my company that happen to have this, that, and the other thing in their profiles. Everybody uses it, including your network. So that I had something happen the other day, and I don't know how it happened, but a friend of mine in my network, he and I decided to go for a nice lunch. And we went to the Washington Crossing Inn. And I, not having eaten there in a long, long time, I went out to Open Table and I registered to get a reservation. Just him and me, but never hurts to have a reservation. So I walk in the door with my friend, and the hostess gets out from behind the desk, comes over and says, "Hello, Bill." Now, I've never seen this woman before in my life. How did she know me? Or how did she know why didn't she go to my friend? Well, I don't know if she looked up and saw my picture on LinkedIn. Maybe she could look me up on Facebook. I don't know what. But man, talk about starting out with some good customer service, right? And just amazing. But anyway, people use LinkedIn. But LinkedIn is like Google, and so that recruiter or hiring manager, if they're looking for a role, sends a list of people. How many of you, in doing a Google search, have ever scrolled down to page 3? okay? You want your name to be high up on the list. Now, how does that happen? Well, you've got to complete your profile. Okay, some people don't put a photo in. They don't, it has to have a current job title. So even if you're out of work, you are now promoted to being a consultant. Okay, I think they define it as if there's no end date on the job, that's your current job. And the old job that you had is kind of it's time stamped, or you can only say I can only say I work for Teradata Corporation for a matter of weeks or months, and then it ages out. Or it ages out by me, or the person reading it. Oh, so you work at Teradata? No, I left there 4 months ago. Well, that doesn't look that good. So, even if you are, you're that staff accountant, you could say staff accounting consultant, and that's your current job. Follow the companies. LinkedIn also rewards activity, like most social media. So when they come up, and if someone posts a good article, like if you join PSG of Mercer County's group and someone posts a good article, write an intelligent comment about that article. Wow, this was really helpful. Or, I disagree, I agree with everything except, positive, but it's still, you get your point across. But I would say make it intelligent and contribute often. The more you engage on LinkedIn, the higher up you go. You can use InMail in LinkedIn. I think there's a monthly limit, but for example, if you InMail within a group like PSG of Mercer County or any other LinkedIn group, you can do that without penalty as many times as you want. So recommendations are good, and it shows your activity, or you can put down your skills in the skills section. So there were a few classes in here, a few speakers talked about LinkedIn, and it's a little too much for this, but you could go back and view those webinars, and they're really good. But don't ignore LinkedIn. If you're going to do anything, deal with LinkedIn. It has a feature on it called Open to Work. It's a little bit controversial. This is my page. One thing to see, you can see there behind my picture is almost a black field with stars in it. You can modify that for yourself. So if you have something that professionally or personally kind of sets you apart that you want to just put in the background, but I mean, some people, you could put a farmland scene, or you could put, whatever it is you want that interests you, you could use that space. The reason for this chart, though, is the Open to Work feature. If you choose to use it, it makes a modification to your picture on LinkedIn, kind of like on the right-hand side there. Shows your picture in the middle, but it puts that circle around it, and it says Open to Work. And the way to do that is underneath my picture on the left-hand side are 2 green arrows, and you can go in, and that opens up activating or not activating the Open to Work feature. You can play with it. It's not permanent, so you can turn it on and turn it off. But the controversy is, is it a sign that you're open to work and I want to raise my hand and say to recruiters, I'm ready to go? Or is it, man, I'm desperate. I need a job. And I don't know how people interpret it, what they see. So I tend to say don't use it, but it's there, it comes up. So enough said. So channels, how will you be found? This, it does let recruiters know that from the audience that, so open to work. The other thing with LinkedIn, you can give yourself a 2-week time. Look, you can get your statistics, how many people looked at your profile in a given week. And if you turn it on, you could see what your average has been. Turn it on and see if it changes. You know, if people are blowing, but if you were getting 20 looks in a week and now you're getting 10, and the only thing that changed.
I have a question about open to work. What's the best strategy? Whether to have the green logo that says open to work and let the world know that you're looking for a job, or have open to work in a secret way that only recruiters can look for it? And why your strategy, what are your strategy is, what do you recommend? And like in my case, like I have recently been laid off, so my boss, who was my boss, also been laid off, so it's more secret in that sense. So I'm not afraid that my employer will find out, because that's the most point at this point. But in general also, there are pros and cons to that. And what's your recommendation? I'd like to know.
Well, certainly your own employer could be looking at your profile. You know, rewind the tape 6 months. You were happily working and your employer was happily paying you. You don't want to use it then. I mean, it's pretty obvious that because they will look, and I don't think you want to show your cards that you're looking for another job. Once you're in your situation of there was a layoff or whatever and your management chain, unless there's some non-compete thing, then why not? I mean, you could do that. I think as time goes on, if you'll have a job in 3 months, but if a year from now, there are people who have not worked for a whole year, they might not want to do it. So it's almost to me, it's kind of time-based, and people will know from the news that there was a layoff at your company. So it's no secret, like you said. So, I mean,
one of the reasons I don't want to show the green flag that I'm open to work is that it gives a recruiter and future hiring manager the upper hand to negotiate salary.
okay.
Right? That's one of the reasons that we don't want to show.
Okay, I hadn't thought of that. That's good.
Then there's another reason that kind of laid off, but they're still on the payroll for a time. So you're technically not laid off too. So that's another reason. So, I'm not able to decide what is the best approach and why.
Yeah, I would err on the side of caution with that and not show it, just because you have all these factors that keep it simple. And if you don't want a recruiter to contact you, then don't indicate that you're looking for work, right?
No, I want recruiter to contact me.
Yeah.
I'm looking for them, but I don't want the recruiter or future hiring manager to know that I have zero income right now. I lost my job.
Yeah.
If like for example, I got laid off from Amazon. Amazon, if somebody sees I'm working at Amazon and looking for a job, I become a magnet. They without me, you want to work for us, you leave Amazon for us, that gives me a very big advantage. That I'm looking I looked upon very favorably, right? When I show I've been laid off from Amazon, then what happens is that, you might be a good cash to come to work, but I'm not going to pay you whatever you want, because now I told you your job, right?
Right.
And the benefit is like the people like you who may not be my future employer, but you are my friends and you might because you today. Here is the job offer you. Why did you reach out? So there is a benefit to it also. The whole world knows that you are looking for a job. What's the best strategy? And that's what I'm trying to do. I have done both. I have put the logo that I'm looking. I'm open to what the feedback, and I also taken off But again, it's all state of confusion at this point.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of, like I said, I would keep it simple. And some things you don't mind putting up on social media. Other things you would rather convey verbally. Okay, they're going to see, if someone's interested, they're going to see that you work for Amazon. They're going to learn that pretty quickly without open to work on. So rely on that. I don't know. It's really your business, but
There's a couple of things. One is there's two open to work. One is that the two is only to the second. I mean, it's everything. So there's really not a whole lot of risk. It's just the recruiters who for one thing.
Right, and my question was to the fact that about the green bag. What is it? Definitely, I want the recruiter to see because I need the job, right? But that is already picked up. But whether it's shown for the whole world with the green bag, whether to do it or not, and why? That's the question.
Well, my opinion, everybody's got an opinion. I think that if you're looking for a job and it's not currently working, I don't think there's so more people will get to know that. People are going to figure out that you're not working in the first place. More people are working in the first job for so long as you get. So I don't think there's a lot of risk to putting it in. And you can try it and see what happens. Those things that people are much more successful in. My opinion is pretty clear is that if you put that on, that you're looking for your advertising, it's also it's like something you can you put out there to work on it, I'll work with and set out.
okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. So, and the other point, that you bring up that has made me think is the whole negotiation strategy. That even if the recruiter sees that you're open to work, will he pass that on to the hiring manager and undermine you from a negotiating perspective? So I don't know. Okay, let's talk about the channels. We talked about some of this already. The resume, there's an accepted format to it. People tend to only look at the top half of the first page. So what you put in your description is really important on a resume. I'd suggest you tailor it to the opportunity, and you can get the keywords that are in the job description and work them into your description of skills that you bring. So there's kind of a hit there. The purpose of the resume, though, is to get you an interview. When you apply to a job, what we found and what other coaches recommend as well is use a cover letter. It shows your interest. I mean, if it's snail mail, it's kind of easy to put a cover letter in. You just have to write it. But even online, if you're applying online, a personal message about why this job appeals to you and how you see it'll fit your skill set, or whatever you think you can add, is a real differentiator from somebody who just sends a blank resume or a resume only. So, and it's not what really works. It might work. The internet, it does help you to have an online position besides LinkedIn. You can use your Facebook page, but that tends to be personal, and it might have your recent sailing excursion or something. But you can set up a website. Workfolio.com is one place that has a pretty standard way of putting in, of giving you It gives you a URL and also lets you put up description of view. It's, you know, there are other sites as well that helps you put a website together. You can do a video. The technology in the laptops lets you do a recording. You could do a short, you know, 3-4 minute elevator pitch or a description of what you do and why you're good at it and maybe successes you had to tell your story. And it helps you practice also when you're putting something like that together. Business cards. Back in the olden days that we all had business cards. Andrew over there has a business card. He gave it to me today. Business cards are important because you never know when you're going to meet somebody. And when you do, if you're at the soccer game, you don't want to have to be scrambling for a piece of paper to write your phone number down. Oh, give me a call. Yeah, we've all been there. But if you have a business card, you're ready to go. I tend to, when I do business, I have my business cards. The back, I like to have not glossy, so that if someone wants to write in, oh, I met him at the PSG meeting on this date, it's possible. With glossy, sometimes it doesn't work. But business cards are important. They're not that expensive. I guess Vistaprint is one company that does it. And the last thing on this list is a brochure. That can be a subset of your marketing plan. And it's to hand out to perhaps your contacts or your friends or somebody that you have an informational interview with to remind them about you. It's a leave behind and I would say that if you could take 10 minutes to put that together and print it out and then just leave it behind. You never know what's going to happen to it, but it's a differentiator. Okay, any other questions? Okay, none online. I think we just had a lot of questions. Okay, closing the deal. These are the questions that the hiring manager is asking. And you've hopefully presented what you have to offer, but they're asking the questions. Can you do the job? Skill set. Will you do the job? Motivation. Like me, was I willing to work for 7 p.m.? No. Will you fit in? And that's, you know, the conversations. And what makes you stand out? We've talked a lot about differentiators. And finally, can they afford you? That's something that's beyond the scope of this, but you need to know your own financial requirements. And if somebody has the perfect job and they're paying $25,000 a year, you know, you got to ask yourself, does that meet my financial requirements, and figure it out. So the marketing plan is a tool for you. We've talked about this already, a lot of these points. And it's a tool for your network. And that the bottom part here makes sense now. It's about the brochure. It's a shortened version that someone else can either use themselves or give to someone else to help you. So again, it's a communication. Okay, so rather than the vintage approach I said at the beginning, what we've talked about is the marketing approach. Do your homework about yourself. Understand your needs and what kind of job is your dream job in the context of the above. You've probably figured out I will never be a professional golfer, but in the context, I can do some things. Find a bridge person in organizations, maybe for informational interviews, and then go on them. Actually get out of your office and go. The resume is a tool for interviews. Use the informational interview to get the organization's interests and needs to supplement your own research. And as you go on, constantly evaluate. Do I want to work for this company? The answer is not always yes. Do they want you? Courtesy counts. It's very important to be courteous, be respectful, and a thank you, a verbal thank you as you leave is one thing, but if you sent a little thank you note, either by snail mail or by email, preferably snail mail to the person you interviewed with, that makes you memorable. And you know, that guy, I remember him compared to the other 100 people that they interviewed. And maintain your contacts. So it does not hurt to, if you have an informational interview with someone, to call them 2 months later, how's it going? Or to send them an article. Or I was thinking about you the other day, and you know, whatever it is you do, but that contact becomes a relationship. And that you'll never know where that relationship, you might help each other some other time, or they may need you. So, okay, we're getting near in the home stretch here. If the marketing plan template, select. This is on the PSG and Mercer County website. Here are the directions along the left as to how to get to this template form. It's a Word document that you can use to start to fill out about your marketing plan. It is it's not locked or anything. You can customize it however you want. It's for you, but you can download it. And then it gives you a framework to work with. And if you're so driven, which I'm not, you can also add in accountability dates. Some people really like to have project management schedules for their job search, and you can put that in as part if you want. You can do anything you want with this. But, okay, so that's the marketing plan template. David.
Yeah, well, there's a question that's in the chat. Are job fairs an effective avenue to land a job to the job?
Well, I think a job fair with a targeted company list is a way to get your resume and perhaps have a verbal exchange with someone from a company that you're interested in. I think a job fair taken on its own, it's less so because you don't really know. It becomes a shotgun approach, and your resume just becomes one of the others. So if you can be at a job fair, a win would be if you can be at a job fair, if you found a company you wanted to talk to, you found a job fair and they were at the job fair, the person at the job fair is probably going to be a lower level HR person. So the thing to do, though, is when you talk to them, ask them if there's someone you can contact in the accounting department or in whatever department you're interested in, and see if you can get an into the company through that person. And if you know yourself, you can talk to that person about what you're doing. So yes, in small doses, I would say that job fairs are effective. Any David or Alan in the back?
So typically, job fairs are for people starting out in college, but I think it is a good networking area. If the company you're interested in, and then people that are there, even if it's not, directly on the company that you're looking for, you can
Okay, all about contacts. Okay, so this goes back to the chart that we had in the beginning. It really is the same chart. I hope I've addressed these points to an extent. The last one is different, I think. the way of life, I said deal with reality, right? The way of life is careers are going to span multiple jobs. And that's my fearless forecast. So you might be in this role, in this position again in 3 years or 4 years, looking that you've accomplished something at the company you just got hired to, and now they're maybe your board or their board or something. So it's, I can't tell, but learning this process now will help you in the future. And so don't throw the stuff away when you get a go. Okay. Further reading. I have a bibliography here at the end. This first page is some books and some websites. I point out the Tom Peters book, second one from the bottom, or article from the bottom. It was in Fast Company magazine. It's still online from 1997. It's really good. It talks about branding and making yourself the brand. The other books are also very good, as well as websites. The one in the middle there with the red 2020, it's a little bit dated because it deals with COVID. And there were layoffs just before COVID or during. And just a caution on that one is there is it refers to some of the tax benefits or special tax programs that were put in place if, say, your utilities were going to be shut off or whatever. So take it with a grain of salt, but there's some good stuff in there. There's some websites of career coaches for you to explore. New Jersey Department of Labor has got their, as I said, they have current jobs now listed, so within New Jersey. And as we close it off, the whole purpose is, but this is something by Branch Rickey, who was in the Hall of Fame of baseball as a manager and general manager. I'm going to read it. Good luck is what is left after intelligence and effort have combined at their best. Luck is the residue of design. So if you are prepared, you're going to improve your luck, and good luck to you. Thanks.
Bill, can I ask a quick question?
Sure, Michael.
Okay. I'll talk to you offline.
Okay. I took the whole time.
Well, that's all right. No worries at all about taking time. Yeah, the library does have other resources here, or needs to use the resources here, so no worries about that. But Bill, it's always a pleasure to see this. I love this program. It's always robust, chock full of great information, and most people stuck around. I'm happy for you that you were able to do that. And I'm a big fan of SARS. You started off at the very beginning talking about SARS, situation, action, result. Sometimes they're called challenge, action, result. But it really gets to show off your skills and accomplishments in a way of showing how useful they have been for you, rather than just say, I'm good at Excel. You get to give an example of how. Target companies, you talked about also, makes your job search and you and your job search more efficient, because you're targeting specifically the opportunities that are right for you, rather than, as Bill mentioned, a shotgun approach. So a lot of good tips and tricks and advice here. The slide deck will be posted on our website this afternoon. This presentation will also be posted in the afternoon as well. So, and also I want to let you know, there is, because Bill mentioned reference solutions, this library is having a class next Thursday at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, exactly on reference solutions. So I did put the link in chat. You can look at the Princeton Public Library's website. It's free. You just need to attend. So hopefully you'll be able to as well. So, and what's coming up over the next couple weeks? Bart Jackson will be here, Resculpting Your Career Post-COVID. So if that article was a little dated, we're going to talk about moving forward beyond COVID and beyond. Besides, I think that article might be a good primer for any disruption. COVID obviously was very big, but there could be other disruptions as well. But so next week, Bart will be here. And the following week, Janice Coleman will be here, from job search to dream career in 2023. So that's what we'll be talking about in 2 weeks. I'm so glad Bart will be here next week, coming back, and that Janice will be the following week. So until we get to see you again, either in person or virtually, we'll simply say, bye, everybody.